need to record. Okay, great. Welcome everybody. For those of you who are here, this is our last class of Authentic Leadership. We've had a really wonderful 6 weeks, and I'm excited to end on such a positive note. For those of you who weren't able to see this live session today, we have Mary Sullivan here from Pursue Your Passions, who's going to be sharing with us about the Mighty Network. So she's going to be talking for the first 10 minutes, and then we're going to roll into our last session of Authentic Leadership, which is really wrapping up everything that we've learned for the past 6 weeks, and also having some hacks that I say of how to continue on your authentic leadership journey. So keep watching if you want. If not, I hope you enjoyed this past week's material and that it helped you out. All right, Mary, hit it.
All right. So I just have some visual aids. So I will share my screen. Okay. All right, so hi, my name is Mary, and I might actually turn off my camera really quick so my internet will work better. Okay, so yeah, thank you, Rachel. I am Mary. I am very excited to be popping onto your Zoom session today. And I am also really, really excited that you have kind of completed the Authentic Leadership course. It sounded like a really, really great class. I know a couple of people from our team at Pursue Your Passions were taking the course. So that's awesome. I've heard good things. Okay, so again, my name's Mary. I use she, her pronouns. So I am here today to talk to you about the Pursue Your Passions online community, which you may have heard tell about. So what is the online community? So Rachel mentioned earlier the name Mighty Networks, which is a platform that we're using to host our online community. So it's kind of a lot of different things that are being stored in one place. So it's similar to kind of like a social media site, except there's no algorithm. There are no, you're not seeing ads or seeing different things that you're not really interested in. You're not seeing your like great aunt posting about like a really good spaghetti recipe or something. It's all things that you're joining because you're interested in it. So it's a place to meet like-minded women. So women just like you. These are women who are starting businesses, nonprofits. They want to move into a leadership position, and they are ready to kind of actualize some goals and be intentional about the ways that they are doing that. So it's a place to stay accountable and grow. So helping keep each other on track, it's very much a group effort to kind of, stay accountable to each other and stay accountable to yourself. So we have some groups that meet and we kind of do some check-ins 2 times a week to see what kind of goals we want to be setting at the beginning of the week. And then we check in on Fridays and kind of see how we did. And even if we didn't meet some goals, that's okay. We can always save them for next week. An online classroom. So all of our class offerings are going to be moving onto this platform. We'll still be using Zoom a lot to see some kind of face-to-face, and I'm doing air quotes as I say that. It is face-to-face. I can see all of your faces, even though you can't see mine, but not really in person. We will also be offering a lot of free courses. So we got CARES Act funding to do these. So an example of one of those that's going to be being offered this summer for free is crisis leadership and crisis communication. So if you're in a leadership position and say maybe a global pandemic starts up and you need to lead a business or a nonprofit, or just kind of want to be able to communicate better with your coworkers during a crisis, that is how those that course specifically can help you. It is an idea testing lab, so practicing an elevator pitch for something, getting feedback on a logo design from your peers as well as experts. So we bring in experts from a bunch of different industries, from marketing to accounting. We have lawyers that you can come ask questions. Rachel is one of our experts. She's going to be doing some really exciting sessions on motivation and leadership and kind of some intention setting. It is not a place for gatekeeping or cliques. So if you haven't been in a leadership position before, or you don't have a business background, that's totally okay. The main thing that we care about in this community is inclusivity and support for you above all else. So the bottom line is that it's mainly a network of support and continuing support. So we're here to help you accomplish goals and support you, whether that be learning a new skill, learning about being a business owner, or if you just have a few ideas that are kind of you've been playing around with in your mind for a little bit, and you just kind of want to get it out on paper and you're not really sure about the process to do that, we can totally help you. So specific things that are offered. So we have a group for alumni of PYP courses. So all of you could join a group with other folks that have taken courses with Pursue Your Passions. It's a great way to meet other people, and then also continue some of the conversations that you've been having in this class. We have group business coaching. You can schedule one-on-one business coaching with some really great people from the Small Business Development Center and also from Pursue Your Passions. We have COVID-19 specific business coaching. Women from all around the state are in our community, so you have access to a large breadth of people, business owners, professionals, experts. We have a lot of space to collaborate with peers. We have 2 different co-working hours each week, so you can hop on Zoom if you don't have your own Zoom link, and kind of get down to business, talk shop with people in the community. We have some really amazing people that hop on to our network and talk to people. We just had the former vice president of marketing at U of M just did a presentation on digital ad marketing, which was a really, really big treat to have him on there. Virtual member speedworking and happy hour events. So these are just regularly scheduled kind of more casual events, just to kind of chat and get to know each other a little bit. Speed networking, we can kind of, talk a little bit more about our skills and what we're working on, but the happy hour events are definitely more casual. So opportunities to develop authentic relationships. We're talking about, our place in different industries as women. We're talking about being women leaders, talking about being mothers, sometimes sisters, daughters, partners. We're talking about a lot of different things, and we've been able to cultivate some awesome relationships. Handpicked member introductions. This is really great that we have a lot of diversity in the different industries and businesses that people are involved in. But we also have people that are working on really similar things, and they can kind of help each other through that. And, we have people that are very early idea stage and then already well-established businesses. So a lot of guidance and a lot of learning from, somebody who's been through it before. And then we also have an app, so you don't have to be tied to your computer to participate and see what's going on in there. Okay, so we had ran a pilot to see how we could best do this. So about a year ago, we started developing this community. And at the end of our pilot, this is what one member had to say. was a really valuable tool for her, and she wanted to remain connected for networking, growing her business, and learning more, the mentoring and referrals. And then she said the community had done a lot for her professionally and personally to grow her self-esteem and her business. So here's where you can come in. So we would love for all of you to also feel supported after class has ended, and keep conversations going. And even if you're not starting a business, we can still help you, you know, kind of transform leadership, be successful, whatever your personal definition of success for you is. We want to, you know, stay in touch with you and keep supporting you and giving you opportunities that are accessible and kind of targeted towards you, or I guess I should say designed with women like you in mind. So after this presentation, after I'm done talking at all of you, I'll be sending out an email invitation for you to join the network. And we do have a sliding pay scale. So the most expensive that it gets is $9.99 per month. And then we also have a $4.99 option, and then you can also join for free. So yeah, make sure you check your spam folder if you do not see it in your normal email that you have been using for this class. That's the email that I will be sending this to. And I think that's about it. So really quickly, I am gonna stop sharing my screen and I will give you an extremely fast look at what the network looks like. All right. So you can see the name here is a little different from Pursue Your Passions, and that is because we are going to be undergoing a kind of name change and rebrand. So it'll be the Women's Entrepreneurship and Leadership Lab. But this looks pretty similar to, yeah, like a social media page. You can see here's like one of the weekly accountability meetups. We have a lot of different things to look at here. Once you hop on here, I really recommend going to this courses page. And this will look differently because I'm one of the hosts on here. But going to this class right here, this is really a space where if you do decide to hop on here and join us, which I really hope you do, this is where you can really learn how to use the platform. You'll get to continue to hear my voice because I made the videos on there, not to discourage anyone from doing it, but you'll learn a little bit more about the community itself, kind of our values in the community, and then also learn how to use the platform. I think it's a pretty intuitive platform, but I know a lot of people have different levels of comfortability with new technology. So if you do wind up joining us, you can always find me on here and shoot me a message. I'm always happy to help answer any questions or guide you to something that you're looking for. So I'll turn my camera back on so I can wave goodbye to all of you. But yeah, I can hang out for a few more minutes. I do want to not take up too much time so you guys can keep continuing on with class, but I can hang out for a couple minutes and answer some questions if anyone has any.
Yeah, Mary, how many women are on the network?
So right now we have about 10. We finished our pilot period, let's see, probably about 3 months ago or so, and then have done a lot of development and kind of after pilot planning. So we have about 10 people in there right now, and we have just started making plans to do kind of an official relaunch on September 1st. So yeah, you guys are kind of the first people to hear a little bit more about it after the pilot.
It felt like before, like during the pilot, it was rather active. It seemed like there were more how many people did you have in the pilot?
Just about 10. Yeah.
Really? Oh my goodness. Okay, so you guys, the 10 people that were on there were really active. It felt a lot bigger, and I was really impressed with the amount of support and information that was flowing through it. And
Yeah.
I do know that for the people that were on there, one of my friends was doing it, and it really helped her build her consulting business. She told me that it helped her, like you said, throw ideas out there, but more importantly, she didn't feel alone. And I can tell you, as being someone who has run their own business for 12 years as a solopreneur, it's lonely out there.
Yeah.
So,
It really is.
and
And
it's interesting that Mighty Networks felt so much bigger to me. So that's why I was asking you, like, how many people were on it, because there was constant chatter and support and really good information on there. So if we can keep on it and grow, it would be a remarkable community.
yeah. Well, I would love for all of you guys to be part of those conversations and all of the different happenings. We're going to have one of our partners at the PTAC, whose acronym I can't remember what it stands for right now, but basically it means you're contracting with the federal government with your business. But she's going to be doing a presentation on how to get your small business to be certified by the government as a woman-owned small business, which will give you priority with the like federal government contracting. And then also you can like put it on your website. You can say, you can tell people that you're a woman-owned small business certified. So that'll be happening in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, we're really excited to have more people on, especially alumna of our courses. And yeah, because we know all of you have like made the step to learn more already and kind of are taking the onus on yourself to, yeah, like investigate and the different inner workings of being a woman leader and then also potentially a small business owner, or yeah, being in, yeah, some kind of leadership position in your life. So we'd love to have you join us and help us grow this community.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? All right. Well, Mary, it's so great to have you here, and thank you for introducing that. It is a wonderful resource.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited. I'm a part of a similar network that's, believe it or not, it's crazy. It's based out of Australia. And how I found it was through a woman that I was friends with for facilitation in Canada, but it's a very similar thing. And so I'm excited to be jumping into our own network here.
Yeah.
And so I know that it's a fantastic place if we all participate and all support each other. This
Yeah.
other group definitely helped get me through COVID.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm part of like 4 other ones. Yoga with Adrienne has a mighty network. There's one for like people that run really slowly, which is me. So there's a ton of different mighty networks. So and now we have one.
So great. So
Yeah.
great.
Okay. Well, I will stop talking at all of you. And I will, yeah, let you enjoy the last portion of your final Zoom meetup for authentic leadership. But we'll have more Zoom meetups in the community. So all right. Well, thank you all for
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mary.
yeah. All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye everyone. Bye, Shannon.
All right. So, hey everyone. So good to see you all, and thank you for coming to our last class. Um, I I have a little process for us to go through today that is kind of meant to help wrap this all together, or kind of wrap it all up. And I'm going to start out with a little share. Yeah, share my screen. And Do a little presentation mode. All right. So you're probably all wondering why I have this question of who is Sasha Fierce? And obviously I'm showing you who Sasha Fierce is, but has anyone known about Beyonce's alter ego called Sasha Fierce? Have any of you ever heard of it? Yeah, Jordan's like shaking her head. Jordan, what do you know about Sasha Fierce?
Well, it's Beyonce's kind of alter ego where I feel like she just kind of lets loose and does her thing without worrying about anything else besides that.
Yeah. And so I kind of been thinking about this whole time because I believe as we transform ourselves as to how we show up in front of other people at work or even in life, there's something that Beyonce did that I think is pretty remarkable. You know, when she started, and I was going to send you guys this Rolling Stone article about her as a performer, and she created this idea. She didn't name it Sasha Fierce when she was a little girl, but she was super duper shy. And in like first grade, her teacher said to her, why don't you do the talent show? And she was like, no, I can't do the talent show. And the teacher was like, no, come on, it'd be good for you. And apparently, the second she got on that stage, she felt something rise up inside of her, and she became this different person, even at the age of 6. And her parents were sitting out in the audience just being like, who is this? Is this our child? And she won the whole entire talent show. She got a standing ovation. Granted, it was like a school talent show, but still, she had never, and she started to notice that she would be someone different, or she had this part of her that in her life, she felt very, very uncomfortable about sharing. And mostly she said it was because she was being different than who she felt she could be around her family or around her grandma, that kind of thing. And it wasn't until she got older and really began performing in Destiny's Child, which, by the way, I had no idea that she was in Destiny's Child when she was 13 years old. I went back and looked at pictures and I was just amazed. I just never really knew that. But she started, like, she needed that in order to be able to grow into the performer that she wanted to be. And then she put out an album in 2008 saying, who is Sasha Fierce? And she felt okay enough to share with everyone, this is what I did, so I could really integrate the person that I knew I was, this performer that I really knew I was inside, with the person that I was at home. And I just think that that's incredibly fascinating, this idea that she worked on this and worked on it, and now she owns it as a whole. Okay, she just says, I am Beyonce. She's totally thrown away Sasha Fierce. But I want to show this little interview. It's a very short snippet that she did with Oprah about this need of hers to do this and how she was. There's going to be a little commercial.
I want to share something with y'all that
Yeah.
has truly been a blessing for my life and for my family. And that's Hello.
So, like, when you're getting ready to go on stage and perform, does Sasha Fierce, when does she show up?
Usually when I hear the crowd, when I put on my stilettos, when like the moment right before when you're nervous and that other thing kind of takes over for you. Then Sasha Fierce appears, and my posture and the way I speak and everything is different.
But no, is it like a process that happens too? Like you were talking about the high heels, like once the lashes go on and the makeup and all that stuff.
It's kind of like when I do a movie, becoming the character. Once you put on the wig and once you put on the clothes, you walk different.
Yeah.
It's kind of this character that I've created over the years.
And how is Sasha Fierce different than I am?
Well, I know, definitely wearing that bodysuit. I could never walk out here and do that.
Yes. Does Sasha Fierce ever go home?
But you have the lock.
But not often, only on special
She never
occasions.
show up yeah, she shows up sometimes at the house. Yes. Yeah.
But definitely when I'm nervous or whenever I have to perform, whenever I have to do choreography or something that's difficult, and it's no different from anyone else. I feel like we all kind of have that thing that takes over.
Hi, YouTubers. I'm excited.
Yeah, we don't need to learn about her YouTube page. Yeah, so I think that it's really interesting. Like, so here we can see this picture. I put some pictures up here of Beyonce with her child, who looks very different than Beyonce dressed as Sasha Fierce. And I went back and looked at, you know, kind of chose pictures here about that. So part of this is you know, I heard in her interview saying that I kind of needed it in order to be what I wanted to be. And we all, you know, the way she said, we all kind of do that at times. And so the question that I have for us is, like, I think they're like moments of truth. Okay, so what are your moments of truth? What are your moments of truth about who you are and how you want to be? And I'm gonna have us break out into a couple breakout rooms for you to discuss this question and to even discuss what Beyonce did and maybe how that relates to the journey that you are on, this transformation of showing up at work, showing up in the world in a way that you are guiding yourself perhaps differently than you were 6 weeks ago. Any questions or anything about that kind of idea or this breakout room concept? Okay, so I'm going to give you about 10 minutes. So it'd be like 5 minutes each person to talk about, you know, what have been your moments of truth in your life in this process in thinking about that. Let's stop the share for a second.
You want to stay with?
All right, I'm gonna put you in some breakout rooms. Okay, so I think I'll do, let's see, we have 2, 4, 6. Okay.
Sorry to be late, folks, but thanks for having me.
No problem. So glad you are here. Okay, just making them, making the rooms, making the rooms. And if someone does not show up to your room, just leave it and pop back in here and I'll move you into a different room. Because I see that some people have their, you know, their pictures off or something like that. It's like warp speed. I feel like that's like being in Star Trek, you know, when you've gone through the materializer to, that's what I imagine. So I'd love to, yeah, I'm just gonna start and throw it out there. Who'd like to start with kind of what you guys talked about? What are your moments of truth? Anyone think about having an alter ego? Yeah, Julie, I see you shaking your head.
Yeah, Jordan and I both related it for the moments of truth. We both had some big like kind of professional moments, but also the moments in our lives that maybe had to do with like the loss of a loved one or a sickness or thing. So moments that give you a lot of perspective and an outlook for the future and the value of our lives. So that was kind of a thing that we related on. And then with the alter egos, we do both have that. And I thought it was interesting because Jordan even has like her alter has a name and like, has an identity like Sasha Fierce or Beyonce's one. And I've always admired people who have named their alter, and I just never did it.
Yeah. Jordan, do you mind sharing your name of your alter ego and how it developed and all that great stuff?
Sure. So her name is Sylvia Snow, and she developed, I was probably like 16, so she's been with me for a while, and she's super confident and does whatever she wants and isn't afraid what people think. And she has, not a lot of worries or cares, but I also have to rein her in sometimes, keep her in check.
Are there times when Sylvia Snow has entered into this kind of exploration of authentic leadership and work?
Yeah, for sure. Something me and Julie talked about was like I was kind of thrown into being a manager at a really young age. I had no experience. I hadn't gone to school. Like I truly didn't know what I was doing, but I just kind of faked it till I made it, and and still trying. But I think definitely like tapping into that side of myself that could be kind of like an actor, like pretend that I know what I'm doing until I get it. Definitely helped me get to where I am today. So
yeah, so she has jumped in. That's pretty cool. Was there something? It's interesting. I love that you're like, I know exactly when it happened and I know exactly who it is. That's pretty inspirational.
Thanks.
Pretty inspirational. Does anybody else have a other group? Savannah, you have any anything to
yeah, we talked about how are you ever really fully able to be yourself at work? Are you ever fully able to like 100% be yourself? And we kind of came to the conclusion that probably not 100%. And I don't know, I wonder if that's almost like a defense or protection, because if you're not 100% yourself, you like still have a certain percentage it's just for you outside of work. So I don't know, I kind of like that a little bit. And yeah, I think that's a synopsis of what we discussed.
It's a really interesting question, right? Like, can we be 100% ourselves? And what does it mean to not be yourself? Like, how can you not be yourself, right? You are you every moment of the day. And I think that can just be the true confusion. At least, you know what I mean, Savannah? Like, it's an interesting thing. And I like that you guys are asking that question and admitting, like, I don't know if I want everybody knowing every part of me and who I really am.
Yeah.
Actually, Rachel, for me, it's not more of them knowing me, but will they accept me and respect me if I bring the whole me to work?
So it's based in more of a concern
for me.
Yeah. Well,
I'm weird. I'm quirky, and it's like I don't show the real me at work ever.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really true though, right? Like, do we and don't we all have that fear that we're not going to be okay? Like, people aren't going to accept us for who we are. Yeah, Mallory, I appreciate that differentiation, right? Like, so I'm holding back because I want to fit in. I want it to kind of have a work environment where not really feeling that vulnerable. Leah, I'm curious what, I know that you and Afiava didn't have that much time, but I'm curious what you both talked about. Oh, you're muting again.
There we go. Well, we just talked about just like general successes that we've had, because we really honestly like coming in late. So we just talked about some struggles and successes that we've had, and we didn't get very far into it, but yeah.
Yeah, no, not a problem.
You want to add anything? Please do.
Yeah, Afiava, what are your thoughts?
Okay, we were speaking about an event that I organized in my country. Yeah, this event concern women entrepreneurs. This event gather all women entrepreneurs and successful women in the perspective to talk each other and give a way to be a successful woman. But before organizing these activities, it is important to convince entrepreneurs to pay and convince also some organization to support the events. That mean to fundraising activity. So fundraising in my country is not easier. You need to have strong argument to convince that company to support you in that activities. So shortly, that was a little bit difficult for me in the beginning, but finally, I have some fundraising and I organized that activity in the profit of women entrepreneurs. Yeah, which is a very successful activity. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a big moment of truth for you, a moment of realizing that you can do something.
Because the difficult moment is that I found two companies who want to cover the event or to finance the event, but they are competitors because they are in the area of oil and gas. They are competitors. So they want to say that if my competitors need to finance your activity, I will not. That's what's difficult for me to manage that situation because I want the two to support the activities, but we try to find a solution and they support both the activities.
That would, yeah. Well, that is a challenging situation. Yeah. Well, congratulations on being that successful.
Yeah, thank you.
So, yeah, I wanted to start this out with this whole concept, right, of duality of, and especially I think that's partly this idea of like authenticity. What does that mean to bring yourself in that way? And then, you know, this idea of that we've been going on of the journey of who am I? How did I get here? What am I bringing to the table? How do we actually successfully bring other people in and move forward so that I could lead a team? And I want to clarify a little bit, and I've been thinking about this a lot, and Leah, it's something that you've been talking about, and it's this idea of, you know, can I be a leader and really not have that title designated to me? And how do I do that? And I've been thinking a lot about that. And part in my mind is that it's about bringing all of you anyway to the table and being real and saying what needs to be said and what needs to be done in those moments, despite of a hierarchy. Of course, respectfully and utilizing whatever structures are created, but also not worrying about, well, but I'm not a leader, I can't make this happen. It's like we each have the ability to set our boundaries and to set what we will do and will not do. And how we will go about it and how we will go about that style. And I was listening to this fantastic podcast from Harvard Business Review this past week. And it was an anthropologist who is an anthropologist in businesses, and he was talking about culture and how company cultures are created or organizational cultures are created. And it got me thinking. So I do a lot of organizational assessments and meeting facilitation, team building, things of that. And I've worked across the state of Montana, and often when I go into smaller places and smaller counties, first of all, they want to know, like, where do I live? I don't say Missoula. I will be very honest about that. I used to live in Florence, and I would say, oh, I live in the Bitterroot. And that broke down a lot of barriers. But what I kept hearing is, well, we're different here. We're different here than anywhere else. So anything that you're going to bring in doesn't really fit. And I find that that concept happens in business environments and teams as well, which is like, well, we're the leadership, and you, who is a team member, might not know what we really have going on here or how we're really going to lead. But I started thinking about a metaphor that I'm going to be working on, and I want to start integrating into different trainings that I do. And the metaphor is about a bicycle. Okay. So we all know what a bicycle is. We all know what a bicycle looks like. And different cultures, whether it is a country or whether it is a kind of culture of use, uses bicycles very different. And so I've seen pictures in other cultures where there's a person on a bicycle that has like stuff stacked on their backs and their heads and on their bikes, and they are using that bike to transport goods. And that's like their mini truck. And how they utilize that bike is very, very different than, and you guys could be like, Rachel, that's a crazy metaphor and this makes no sense to me. And I'm okay with that, because as I said, I'm admitting to you that I'm still working on this, but I feel like there's something in there. But that's very different than a bike where someone's like, I'm using it to mountain bike, right? Two very different cultures, two very different uses, but it's still a bike. And so my point is that often we negate frameworks that can be useful, or ideas that can be useful in different cultures, because we say, oh, that won't fit here. But the framework of a bicycle is exactly the same. The use is culturally shaped. So the framework of this idea of authentic leadership, and the idea that we have this idea of a leader is someone who's at the top, right? That's just a cultural concept. But everything that you all have been putting yourself through of exploration and learning and reading, if you can think of it as, well, this is just, I'm an individual who's contributing and engaging into a team. And maybe there's this fake construct of hierarchy where really I believe in holacracy, and I'm going to come to the table as each of us are individuals and each of us are equals. So I know that's like a really wonky metaphor that I'm still fumbling around with, but yeah, I'm curious if Leah, that makes any sense to you.
It does. It resonates for me because I have the same vehicle. It doesn't matter my position, right? I have the same vehicle. And so initially, yeah, I mean, yeah, it resonates for sure.
Yeah, so that's kind of a concept that I've been playing with. And I think the reason that this Beyonce thing really sticks with me is because sometimes you have to find your alter ego when you're acting in a position.
Maybe I'm Ari on the bike.
There you go.
You never know.
Yeah. So let's put this in here. Okay, so I've been asking you kind of like your moments of truth and what were yours, and feel like we were going on that. And I think it's really about, and this fits into your alter ego, and you can come up with any kind of acronym for you, but this concept of being epic. And epic, the acronym that I think is kind of goes through everything that we've been working on is really about being engaged. Okay, like showing up, engaging in you, engaging in where you are, engaging in your community, your family, engaging in your work, however that looks. And that was that part of doing your values. And also the part of looking at, who am I? How have I been engaging on this journey my whole entire life? Okay. Thinking about being purpose-driven. And purpose-driven meaning, where is it that I want to be going? What is it that I want to be doing? What is it that drives me to show up every single day or drives me in my life? And is what I'm doing right now fitting in with my purpose? Or do I have to bring a part of me that might have to rise above what's happening in front of me? Meaning there could be some really challenging situations, but my purpose is to always come to it with creativity, with fresh eyes, with energy. And so I need to remember that that is my purpose. Thinking about staying inspired. What do I need to do to stay inspired? Does that mean joining something like Mighty Networks? Does that mean not anything to do with work, but going on an adventure, going out and looking at flowers? I have no idea what it is for all of you. Going out, making a creative meal, and then being connected inwardly to who you are, being connected to your team, being connected to your community, and being connected to your client and whoever it is that you're serving. So thinking about being epic. So again, an open-ended question of in what ways have you in the past 6 weeks been epic? So I'm going to have you, and it can be so tiny, right? Engaged. I've been engaged by blip, 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 right? It doesn't have to be like, I know I have this acronym EPIC, which is a really big word for us. And I did that on purpose because I think epic things can happen in tiny, tiny increments, in tiny interactions. Julie.
This reminds me of the 1% Better guy. And from the material, and just it's like doing the reps. So these things kind of seem like the everyday repetition you want to have. They're all relatively manageable. Not saying that any of them are easy necessarily, but just being epic and in touch with those 4 items with each situation, it's that like incremental improvement. So like the little steps equal something greater.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. That's exactly it. That's what I was thinking, is that it's like these little bits that you can do. How, Leah, did you put your mute off there, Leah?
Oh, I just think I agree, and I think to capture those when they come, so you might get 1 of 4, right? They pass by you, and you're like, no. But to just get a couple is a win, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can have epic moments all the time. You can stop, you can slow down, you can be present. You can, and I think that's a real part of this idea of authentic leadership, right? It's about, can I pause? Can I take the time? Kind of like what Christine Liddick had said about in her bakery, how she would say to people, give me 15 and I'll give you 15. Like it's that relationship building. And sometimes you need to be epic to yourself. How can I be engaged with myself for right now? Do I need to connect with myself? Do I need to somehow inspire myself? Or is there something I did that just was inspirational? which in all honesty, I think it's really important to keep a little notepad that says, these are the kick-ass things that I did. Because the truth of the matter is we're the ones, okay? We're the ones that are going to be recognizing it. There's this theory called the spotlight theory. Has anybody heard about the spotlight theory? So the spotlight theory is this idea. We think often that we are in the spotlight, that everybody is looking at everything that we do all the time. And the theory says that the majority of the time, like literally the majority of the time, nobody cares what we're doing. Everyone is looking at themselves in their own spotlight. Okay. Now, I actually really find that hard to believe because we are so self-conscious all the time. Like, oh my God, I just did that. What are people thinking? What do they say? Did I make a mistake? But when I started thinking about that, that's when I was like, oh, if I'm in the spotlight, I'm the one who's gonna have to, if it's really just me, I'm gonna have to write down all the things that I think that I did really well, that I'm proud of. And then I'm gonna go back and read them to kind of fulfill myself in order to maintain that I can get in front of a group of people, even here now with all of you, and say, oh yeah, I can come here and share the knowledge that I know and not be like, oh God, can I really do this right now? You know? But it's because I have this little notebook that I write down things that I feel good about, and then things that people have said that they feel good about that I did. And then I have quotes of other famous people, or just quotes of other people, not even famous. My niece, when she was 3, used to just say to us, you gotta do what you gotta, you have to do what you have to. And sometimes I say that to myself. So I have that in my little book. Mel Whitehouse said. But I think that goes to Julie, you're remembering like this, 1%, like just doing a little. How about anyone else sharing about this concept of epic? Jordan.
I'll share. So shortly after we started the course, I was having some issues with an employee who I had in the end decided to let him go. And so when I met with him, he disclosed some personal information to me that he was on the spectrum, and it changed the way that I would have handled the situation to begin with, but it also gave me an opportunity to start over fresh with him. And I think that being in this course made me okay with being authentic with him, letting him know I've never dealt with a situation like this, that I am our HR department and I've never had any formal training, or just kind of being upfront with him that we were kind of starting this journey together, and also just remembering that I needed to be compassionate, even though I'm incredibly busy at work right now and didn't really have time to help this person be a better employee for us. But I made the decision to try to help, and it's going really well, and it's been about a month, so it's going good. And I think that this class is partially to thank for that. So
Jordan, that is so great. I'm glad that it's still going well. That is epic.
Thank you.
That was epic. Yeah, that is beautiful. I'm really glad to hear that that's still continuing. Jordan and I chatted a little bit about that, but thanks for sharing about that. Yeah, that's a hard lesson. Ironic, just so you know, so last night, my family and I, my siblings and I, we were away for the first time in 15 years. And it's really mostly us. There's a couple grown up nieces and nephews, and they're older. But last night we went out to dinner, and we were having a really hard time with the wait staff, and it turned out he was on the spectrum, but nobody told us. And the ironic thing is 3 of my sisters work. There's 2 of them, their specialties are the spectrum. They work in schools only with kids that have Asperger's or are on the spectrum. And another one does testing. She's a clinical psychologist. And so it was just fascinating that everybody kind of works with this. And then all of a sudden, once it became clear, it was like, oh, okay, we're going to be different in that moment. But it was just so nice because I thought of you and I thought of the support that this individual had in how you changed your perspective and changed working with him and created an atmosphere where he could thrive. Or she could thrive. Our waiter last night was a he, so that's why I'm using that he. But anyway, Savannah, any thoughts? And you do not have to feel any pressure for sharing, but I'm just, any epic thoughts, or Mallory or Afiavi, any epic thoughts?
I'm just taking it all in.
Cool. Awesome. Afiavi, how about for you?
Okay. No. I don't have any question now, but I don't know if I can ask a question about a previous chapter, a previous module.
Sure. Yeah, well, we have about 15 minutes left. I do want to be aware that I don't want to take us too far over. So I'm more than happy. If it's longer though, let's definitely make I'll email you and we can make a time to talk about something deeper.
Okay,
but yeah,
so okay, I can ask the question. If it is longer, we can discuss after on Zoom or either.
Perfect.
Okay, my question is concerning likability. My question is regarding likability.
Okay.
Because I read the article, but I didn't get a good understanding of this concept. And I want to know also, does this likability and business go together well for women, or they are negatively correlated?
Yeah, that is a good question. So I'm curious what other people thought of the likability article. And if any of you have experienced, and Afiavi, I don't know if it's an American cultural thing of women wanting to, like, deferring to being liked over needing to feel liked, over exerting kind of their opinion. And when I say their power, I don't mean power over, I mean their inward strength. So how about other folks? What were your thoughts about likability, or any responses to what Afiava is asking?
Well, I think that, like, especially culturally for us, that women are taught from a very young age to be nicer, be more nurturing, be more quiet. And so when women fall into positions of management or business owners, it's like a balance of whether you're going to be soft and nurturing, or if you're going to step in and be like a forceful leader, or get stuff done without worrying about what other people think of you so much. And I mean, there is a lot of negative around that, I think, but also if you can find the balance, it's great.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm curious, so Afiava, is it that the concept of likability is something that you don't experience in your country, that women are supposed to be more liked than and that holds them back of wanting everyone to see them in a good way?
Yeah, we experience this in my country, especially in Africa, because when women behave like in her system of management, I think some men hate that woman. Yeah, some men hate that woman because in our culture, woman must be that person who is soft, who is under man. So you don't need to be like a man, or like to do something who men can do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, yeah.
It sounds pretty similar.
Yeah.
Pretty similar to what women here experience. And so,
okay.
Yeah, so the article was about like, can we put that aside, right? Can we stop thinking that we always have to be likable? And how do you do that?
Yeah.
There, Julie, go for it.
One quick thought to add, I really like what everyone's saying. And one of the things I've found, I've been worried about being liked and also being harsh or not liked. And I have seen myself react and then come back to being nice. And I realized that it's like a variability, changing the level quickly when it's necessary, and then being able to change that level back. And then people get used to, it's not someone being normal, crazy, normal. It's you're changing your level of output based on the situation. So if I'm speaking to someone more intensely or more fiercely, there must be a reason. And it's not that I'm not likable as a person, it's a situational intensity. So that's just what I would say. Having people get used to you takes time. And, I'm me up here and down here, whatever those are representing, if that makes sense.
Do you think that that's interesting? It's like that boundary, and it comes back in whether you're in a leadership position or not. Like you sort those boundaries one way or another, whatever is expected of you or not. And yeah, I do think it's a boundary issue to a certain extent. You have to be willing to play this game of some kind. We all do. That's what we do. That's what the human race does, it turns out.
It is. I think you're right that it is. And it seems to me that the question is do we have to keep playing that game? And if we can stop playing that game, can we actually have better lives, have better businesses, have better communities? And it doesn't necessarily mean that we do it in a condescending, harsh way, but can we learn to do it in a way that we really can stop second guessing and stop wondering, and just be able to be open enough to learn the proper language and the patience to be able to sit down and say, this is what I'm trying to convey, right? This is what this word or this situation means to me. What does it mean to you? And can we pause enough instead of feeling like we constantly have to be moving fast and moving fast? If we're going to learn anything from COVID, and this is my perspective, and I'm a little disappointed with how quickly we jumped right back on the bandwagon. But if we are going to learn anything from COVID, can it be that it's nice to have things a little slower, and that it's nice to actually be engaging with each other differently? I don't know about you all, but I know that this is not a popular thing to say, because my business tanked. I had no income, but I adored the stay-at-home policy because my neighbors, who I've lived next to for 15 years, started coming out. The kids were outside. Everybody was walking. People were talking to each other. I felt like this neighborhood that I lived in all of a sudden became a community. And I also liked that I remembered I love cooking. Oh my God, I have time to cook and to take 4 hours to make something gorgeous, but that kind of thing. And I think this concept of authentic leadership and about being epic is really about, yeah, I'm going to slow down and you might, yeah, I might be quirky, but guess what, dude, you're quirky inside too, because we are quirky. And I know for a fact that we are all bringing what something means to the table, right? And that was kind of my metaphor of a recipe, right? We're all making salsa together. And so I want the onion to be the onion. I want the tomato to be the tomato. I want the jalapeno to be the jalapeno. And that means I want Jordan to be herself, and I want Julie to be herself, and Savannah and Afiava and Mallory and Leah. But that also means that I have to stop and say, Jordan, what does this mean to you? This is what it means to me. And we have to stop and understand what that is. And I think that that's authentic community and our authentic beings. Yeah, so this is kind of like what I would call my rant. No. But it's hard, and I think it does go with likability though, because I think at the core of everything, we want to belong. I think human beings, we want to belong to each other. We want to know that we fit in and we want to belong. And so how do we get there? How do we turn our everyday experiences and the places that we interact with to be about belonging and being okay and real? While, Savannah, you're absolutely correct, keeping some of it private, not right, not like being naked. Because, you know, naked is different than nude, right? Like nude is a piece of artwork, and naked is like, just like, oh, stop looking. So we have about 5 minutes left, and I just want to briefly run through the last couple slides that I have, and then let you know about some other things. Okay, so kind of in what we're talking about, it's what I started our class out with, which is intentional, but intentionality. And it's about what I was just talking about listening. And so it's like, be deliberate, be purposeful, let your values guide you, and stretch yourself. Jordan gave us a really beautiful example of how she stretched herself. Afiava gave us a beautiful example of how she stretched herself in her moment of truth. And I'm sure that each of you have a story like that or something along those lines. This is the theory of authentic leadership, and that's in our Moodle book. And this is that theory of it, but I think it's also a lovely way of being in life. So I just wanted to kind of bring that back in. And the final authentic leadership map that I have for, those of you who are taking this for credit, as this is kind of like your final, and just know it doesn't have to be perfect. We didn't talk about norms and practices. We didn't talk about behaviors. This is a starting point. This is hopefully always going to be changing, always going to be adapting. Your guiding word up here, that really is, maybe that changes, every year. I have a different guiding word. This year, my word is intentional because of COVID. I just was tired. Last year, I was so tired. I was tired before. The year before that, it was refinement. I wanted to refine things. And this was even before COVID happened, because I was so overwhelmed. It was, how can I refine my world? So choose a guiding word. It can always change. Power word is a different word. It's kind of like that Sasha Fierce, So we have different power words. Sometimes my power word changes by the week. Sometimes I can keep it for 3 months. Sometimes I can keep it for longer.
I'm so sorry.
So I'm curious. I'm gonna stop sharing this. But I'm curious for all of you, that authentic leadership map. I'm curious, like, what that's like when you look at it. What was it like to fill it in? we'll just kind of take a few. And if you haven't done it yet, that's okay too, because it's not technically due yet. And some of you might not be doing it. Yeah. And Leah, were you raising your hand to have a, no, you're okay.
No, I was just counting down the amount of days I had left to fill it out if it is one of the options that I have to do. But
yeah.
I do think it's a really interesting thought. The whole thing has been really an amazing community building for me. And I somewhat tuned out at the beginning when she was talking about the social media thing, and I was like, this is not why I'm here. But I do think that is actually why I'm here, is because I think that this community is really amazing, and that's what I've, I read the articles or whatever, but what I've gained the most is just seeing you guys and talking to you guys, and I think that community is it. That is it. Capital IT, it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all. That's my parting words.
Good parting words. How about Jordan? I see you're off mute.
Yeah, I like the idea of the map, just to kind of bring together all of what we've been talking about in one easy way to look at and reference, and just remind us after we leave the class what we've been focusing on.
Great. Were there any questions about any parts of it? I just want to make sure it's rather clear for you all.
No, maybe one question would be just on the behaviors. I liked the questions that are part of that. And it's I often come around to things via what I don't want until I know what I do. And so what's some of the meat of the behaviors part?
Yeah, so I think for the behaviors part, that can be really anything, like what kind of behaviors do I want to present? And that could be, I want to, and I will say I adapted that from work that I do with teams. So often, hi Savannah, often with teams, I'll have them come up with what behaviors are acceptable in this group. So it's okay to have your cell phone at the table. It's okay to, this is not an okay behavior, to be rude, right? It's okay to be, it's not okay to be rude. It's okay to blah, 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 that type of thing. So your personal behaviors, is it that you always want to present in a certain way? Are there certain behaviors that are okay for you to do in front of people? It's okay for me to be joking with people. It's okay for me to be, serious and intense with people. It's not okay. These are not things I want to share with folks. Kind of like what Savannah was saying, that there's parts that I don't really want to share, or maybe other people feel like there's parts of them that are quirky, so they don't want to share that. I really think it could be anything that's useful for you. In teams in particular, it's, we're not going to accept rudeness. We're not going to accept snarkiness. We're going to accept behaviors that are asking inquisitive questions, or I kind of think of them as dialogue questions, right? Like it's okay to say, I don't understand something, or can I see it from a different perspective? But it's not okay to say that's a crap idea. But maybe in some groups, the behaviors are, yeah, you can say that's a crap idea. We want that kind of behavior in our culture because we've developed so much psychological safety that I'd rather have you say it's a crap idea than skirt around this polite issue of we have to do this polite dance. So I think that there's behaviors that you can think of yourself. So one woman that I was working with, she was really balancing her behavior at work as far as putting, the internal dialogue was, how do I put my family first? Because it's overwhelming to me to have to be sitting in these meetings and knowing that I need to go get my child. So what behavior was acceptable for her? We worked on the behavior that was acceptable for her. Was we came up with a list of different ways she could politely leave a meeting, because the behavioral choice was that it was more important for her to show up for her child than it was for her to have a good face at work. Right? Like that, but it's that thing of, what do people see you doing? Like if a camera were to follow you around, what behavior would they see you doing? So the behavior wasn't she was going to push away from the table and just leave without telling everyone. The behavior is I'm going to politely say, these are some excuses that I have that I've worked out, pre-worked out, and this is how I want to be in front of everyone. My family comes first, but I'm politely going to be doing this. I think that's the most concrete example that I can give you. Well, I know that we are at time and I don't want to roll over. I just want to thank you all. And I sent the majority of you an email saying that if you ever do want to continue talking, I'm more than happy to do that. I am going to be in Mighty Networks. And if our particular community, while Mighty Networks is an inclusive community, if we want to keep having even bi-weekly meetups, because, we have made a connection with each other, that I am more than happy to lead those, and I can start those on Mighty Networks for us. And so that's one way it can continue, but also the way that I think of our connection is it's a forever connection. So if there's any point in the future you're just want to bounce something off or need a resource, I'm more than happy to be that person. So.
Thank you so much, Rachel. It's been really wonderful.
It's been really great. I've really enjoyed this. I mean, this was the first time that we led this course, and so I appreciate all of you being the pilot class. So it's been really nice and enjoyable, and I'm glad that the material was well received.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
You're welcome. And Aviava, if you do want to talk more about likability, just email me or anything, and we can, this week I'm actually technically on vacation, but next week I'm back in Missoula. And I don't know, Aviava, if you leave, but I'll be back in Missoula and open. So sounds good. Well, enjoy your evening. Signing off.